to anyone that's joining in. I'm gonna move my panel up here. Move my panel up so it makes a little more sense. Move my light over a little bit. Hello everyone. Hi everyone. You may notice that my lighting has changed again. Today I took a little trip to my neighborhood IKEA, and I'm gonna have some pictures really soon to show you guys what I got. But I got more stuff for the studio. Hot today. My Lanta. I was like, we left the house and I melted twice. Into a puddle. Hello everyone. Into a puddle in the parking lot. Literally said, and then my crazy self decided that I was gonna fix the patio furniture. After about 35 seconds and again melting into a puddle, I said, no, going back inside. But anyway, so I got these nifty new lights, and hello, the nifty new lights do different things. So this is the remote for them, but I can also tell Google to control them, because our house is a smart house. Like everything is controlled by Google. But the way this little remote works is, number one, I can turn them off. So this is what it looks like with them off, with just the regular daylight. And obviously with them turned back on, it's much brighter and it's different. But depending on when I'm filming, so basically when I'm filming at different times and different times of the day, and I need to edit for edit in YouTube, there's different settings. So there's this setting that makes it look a little bit more like dusk. It's very, very yellow. Then there's this setting that makes it, this is supposed to be like afternoon lighting, and then of course the brightest setting, which is supposed to be like regular daylight. So regular daylight is my favorite. It's very, very bright, but yes, it's like lights for the entire house, very much so. But I'm getting all sorts of new gadgets and new things, and it's great because starting over in this new studio, it's made it really awesome, because now, like you said, starting over has been awesome. Having the ability to start over and kind of do everything is awesome. Hello, Amanda Young. So today we're gonna do some watercoloring with the Rose stamp set that most of you have recently purchased. So thank you. Yes, a boy and his toys. Absolutely 100%. So I'm gonna grab myself some watercolor paper. Yes, brand new house and brand new store. Brand new house and brand new store. All within a month. Within a month. Yep. Oh, yes. Yes. Of course. Okay, so what I'm going to do, hold on one moment. So I'm going to cut this down first. Thank you. Yep, all within about 2 weeks. And one on a trip to New York. It was just absolute madness. If it wasn't for my team, there would be no way that it would have been able to happen. There would have been no way that it would have been able to happen, honestly and truly and sincerely, because without my team, there would have been no way. Absolutely no way. All right, so let's go ahead and get this landscaper. I just hired a new landscaper. Because we were having some landscaping issues at my house, at the new house, that's for sure. Was definitely having some landscaping issues, unfortunately. So yeah, mine quit. Well, ours quit because, let's just say our yard is bigger than it used to be. And we have a lot more space. So our old landscaper that moved with us, because we didn't move too far. We moved only about like maybe 10 miles from our old house. Yes. So we moved, and because of that, I thought he was moving with us. and he decided that our new house was too much work. So I found a new one. He starts tomorrow. We'll see how he fares. Fingers crossed. But yeah, that's where we're at. But yeah, it was a busy day. Busy day. And to thank you for everyone. They didn't know because, like I said, they used to be at our old house, and our old house did not have as much work as this house does. Did not need as much work as this house does. So that's the issue, because this house has, and hopefully I'm gonna show you guys at some point. I'll do like a house tour, but this house has big. It has big balconies on the front of the house, and on the left-hand side, if you're looking out onto the street, we have a big side yard, and then to the right of the house, off of our patios, there's a yard as well, and there's a big hill, so it's just a lot. It's a lot, but do you have any videos for beginners? Melissa, I have tons of videos for beginners. If you go back through my YouTube channel, there's quite a few, and I'm going to be uploading quite a few as well. I'm going to be doing some new ones for you guys. So, okay, so I'm just taking my Misty. Sorry, I just feel like I'm like catching up with old friends, you know, having lunch, and that's just hanging out, having lunch with friends, and just chit-chatting about stuff. But I guess we do have to talk about what I'm doing. So, this is the Misty. I used some watercolor paper that used the bar magnet and the Enchanted Rose stamp. If you'd like to get this Enchanted Rose stamp, it is still available. It was not retired. This is one of those that I'll probably never retire, or come out with some new background flowers like this. Okay, so now I'm just going to stamp once. Remember, you are not doing CPR. You're not doing CPR. You are just gently pressing the stamp in. Always make sure that it goes back up into the corner, because we're going to stamp this 3 times. Yeah, Hannah, I actually want to look into that. But like I said, we just need someone that's super reliable, because it's hard. And like the funny thing is I think I told you guys this on the live the other night. I was like, we were going to go get a lawnmower, and we were going to go we have big plans. We're going to go get a lawnmower. We were going to go do this. We're going to do that. We had all these big plans, and then I was like, wait a second, there's no time for all of that. I would love to be, you know, the guy that, you know, can go out and mow his lawn and, you know, trim the bushes and all of that stuff, but I just unfortunately don't have the time for all of that, because Brutus Monroe is 24/7 for me, as most of you guys can imagine. So now this is stamped, and I'm going to, you can see there, hopefully you'll be able to see how it's, I'm going to have to get some diffusers for these lights, because they are you guys able to see okay? Is that focused okay? It might not be focusing super well. I hope I'm on the strong internet. Yes, I understand that completely. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Icicle embossing powder. And the Icicle embossing powder, just so you guys know, that is the clear embossing powder. I'm going to dump a whole bunch of that on there. Now, if you guys get, do you see how there were little chunks there? Those little chunks will happen because of the humidity. That will happen because of the humidity. Now, always make sure that when you are stamping off on your watercolor paper, that you always stamp "Hello in Texas." Stamp once or twice, or twice or 3 times, because if you don't, it tends to soak into the paper really quickly. Now I'm hoping you can see how there definitely is powder on there. Let me scoop that little bit off the top there. Oh my word! And I just realized that my hold on one second. Just realized that with my new setup and everything I did with the new power and the lights and all that jazz, I forgot to plug back in my heat tool. So bear with me while I meander over to grab it. Got it now. Whew, that was a close one. I think I'm gonna try Let me try. Um, Let me try to move this light over here to see if this makes a big difference. I think that should help. I might actually, I may get, you guys, one of these days, I'm telling you, one of these days, the lighting is going to be perfect. It's going to be perfect, and you guys are going to be like, oh my goodness, there it is. That's the lighting. I mean, we got the bulbs. We're halfway there. But, oh my word, it's driving me nuts. Okay, one of these days, the lighting is going to be perfect. One of these days. I mean, the thing is, the lighting is perfect right now for me to see, but for whatever reason, the lighting, it just doesn't seem like it's perfect for you guys to see. I don't know. I'll figure it out at some point. I will figure it out at some point. Yeah, it takes time. Yeah, better than a black closet. Accurate. Accurate. Okay, so I'm now going to grab my heat tool. Again, bear with me. Okay. Make sure your heat tool, again, is heated up. The thing is, I like the lights being right above, but the problem with that is because of my, see, now that's really bright. But see, the problem is since the lights are right above, you can now see the reflection in my mat. But I won't have my mat all the time, so don't worry. That might help, actually. I'll show you. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this up. And you'll know when it's heated through because it's going to turn clear. And you're going to be like, Christopher, what are you up to? Making that clear. What are you up to? But I'll show you what I'm up to in just a moment. And it's like magic every single time. Yeah, I love these new lights that I got because they do, it's just like the thing is, it's like, I feel like I'm going to get some diffusers for them. I mean, I back in the day, whenever I was doing YouTube, like YouTube full time, and didn't have, you know, had just started Bruce Monroe, it was easy because the lives, it didn't really, I didn't do the lives. So when I did pre-recorded items, it was easy because the pre-recorded stuff, I could adjust the lighting. Like, you know, while I'm editing. While I was editing, I could adjust the lighting, and there was never ever a problem. But, again, just bear with me. We'll figure it out. I promise you we will. I promise you we will. Okay. So now that is all heat set. I'm going to move my heat tool out of the way. I also got a whole bunch of pegboards today that I can't wait to show you guys. So can you guys see that? Oh, I can see a spot that I missed. I can see a spot that I missed. Hello in Texas. That's what I call the shine test. You can immediately see a spot that you miss. Okay. Can you guys see that? Can you see the shininess of it, hopefully? I'm going to bring it up closer. There you go. Actually, let's zoom in a little bit. That might help our situation. Received my order the other day and you were the one who packed it. Awesome! Awesome, Dawn. So you might be able to see it now. I don't know, though. Can you see the shine on there? Well, regardless, it's there. It's there. I promise you it's there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some of the surface sprays. Now, a lot of you guys got these surface sprays the other day with our surface spray bundle. The surface spray, my goodness, try to say that 3 times fast. The surface spray bundle is still available. And I just realized that I brought home 2 sidewalks and did not bring home a Jurassic. Well, holy cannoli. So, looks like we're just going to be doing the rose today. Oh, now you can really see it. Now it's really showing up. So it looks like we're just doing the rose today, and then we will do the petals another day because I don't want to try to do it with like the ink and stuff and it be different. So all I'm doing is taking some of the spray and I take it out like this with the little container or with the little sprayer. You don't have to take out much. Oh, catch up quickly. Okay, so all I did was I stamped out on a watercolor paper the Enchanted Rose background with some icicle embossing powder, and now I'm going to take some of the surface sprays, because remember what I told you guys, the surface sprays you can use, we're going to cut that out anyway, so that's okay, you can use as watercolors. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do now, and I'm hoping that I'm in frame. Let me catch up with myself. Because for a lot of people, no cards and boxes. I understand that. It's because we had lots of volunteers. We had lots of volunteers while we were packing the orders. So I apologize. Luckily, the cards are free with purchase. So the cards are, what will happen is, unfortunately, when we have a bunch of volunteers, when it's a big event, you may not receive a card in your box. So I apologize. So yeah, it's not because we don't want to send you them. It's because when we have our volunteers that are helping, because my sister, my mom, my brother-in-law will all help out with the packing of orders when we have a big event. And because of that, we may miss out on some cards. So I apologize, but like I said, the more people we have helping, the more that we may miss the cards. So what you can see now is I'm just going in and I'm just adding in some of the surface sprays with a whole bunch of water. So you want to make sure that you use oh good. How many cards are there? There are 5. There are 5. There are 5. I actually have Sandpaper Road. I've filled my water. I have a whole bunch of water brushes that have all different surface sprays in them. So thank you for reminding me of that tip. Yes, I have a whole bunch that have them in it. Courtney, Heather, and Christopher. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, you're getting close, because all you need is Kathy and Shane. All you need now is Kathy and Shane. And if you guys are in the if you guys get the subscription boxes, if you guys get the what's it called? My goodness, I can't even think of the name of the inspiration boxes. If you guys get the inspiration boxes, then you'll always get one from Kathy. You'll always get one from Kathy, because Kathy does all of the inspiration boxes. So if you get the inspiration boxes, you will always get one from Kathy, which I think is really cool. So I'm just going in, and again, I'm just following around. I use lots of mixed watercolor. Really want to see this. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I just go around, and what's really cool is since this embossing powder is clear, I don't like to use the white, and I'll tell you why. You can use the white if you want, but what I've noticed with the white is that if you use the white, what can happen from time to time is sometimes the white will have a tendency to allow the color to bunch up on it, whereas the clear does not. For some reason, the white will have a tendency to let things bunch up on it. So I'm going to take a paper towel. Oh, awesome, Penny. Awesome. Yeah, wait till you guys see what's in those mystery boxes. Oh, by the way, I think there's 3 mystery boxes left. I think there are 3 mystery boxes left, because when we were doing inventory last night, they were sold out, but there were actually 3 when we counted them. So I think there's still 3 more on there. So if you want one, and you missed one yesterday, you can go grab it. Those mystery boxes have a lot of great stuff in them. They have a lot of great stuff in them. Okay, so what's this one? So we're gonna now take Wagon, which Wagon is the red in the collection, and I'm gonna put a little bit of that Wagon down. But first, I'm going to take away the rose. Well, the rose color is actually rouge, but you can do whatever you would like. And now I'm going to add a little bit of the wagon. And you'll notice, oh, I didn't shake this one up, hold on. I can't wait for you guys to get them, because there are so many goodies in there. All right, so I'm laying down a little bit of the wagon. Again, I always put down way more than I need. You will not need nearly this much, but I love it. I love using it in this form. So now I'm just gonna add a little bit of water to it, and this is when the magic will happen. So you're just gonna tap in the areas that are down and lower, and you're just going to add in some of that color. And it's gonna look a little bit weird now because it's you know, because obviously it's, you know, you're adding a whole bunch of color to it, but I promise you it's going to look really, really awesome here shortly. Because what will happen is the color will begin to meld together. And if you think the color is too concentrated, just grab a little bit more water and add that in. But luckily with this particular rose, you can tell where you're supposed to add the additional color because of its natural shading. How do you keep the color in areas when wiping off embossed lines? You mean take the, you know, keep the color, I'm not sure what you mean. Like keep the color on the project? Is that what you mean? Yes. Well, you're gonna wanna. Well, what will happen is you can dry it, so you can use your heat tool and start to dry it, if you'd like. But of course, there's many ways to do it. If you heat it, what I do sometimes, and I don't have the tools here right now to show you, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll take an iron with a cloth, and you know, press it, and you can actually melt off the embossing powder. I'll show you guys that technique one night. I think that's a cool technique to teach you. But like I said, you don't have to use a whole lot of the color. So I'm just going in and I continue to add in a little bit more color here, a little bit more color there. I like to add some color onto the edges of the leaves. It's completely up to you. As I always say to you guys, create your own ending. And then you can take a clean brush and, you know, brush some of this out, and you'll see as it, if dry, will it still wipe off lines? Oh, no, it won't wipe off the lines. No. If it's dry, you'll be just fine. And then again, you'll just be kind of skillful around the areas that you add more water to or less water. And it's all gonna soak itself in. And over time, and I always say this is the way to look like a rock star, but not really know 100% how to paint like a rock star, because all you're doing is adding in additional color around those, what would be considered the you know, the shadow lines. So yes, I believe I think I might have seen her. I think that might be the first place that I saw it actually. But again, all you're going to do is just keep blending out and, you know, adding a little bit more water here and there, but you can see how beautifully, I think that is why he used clear and he doesn't like color from the embossing. Yes, because the clear will remain white no matter what, and you don't have to remove it, if that makes sense. You don't have to remove it, which is awesome. You don't have to remove the color. So now I'm just going in and, you know, adding a little bit more water to some of these areas. You don't have to if you don't want to. I just think it adds a little bit more to the realism, and then this is going to make this look a little bit more like a tropical flower, if that makes sense. And now you can see, I'm gonna try it, then wipe off. Yes, dry it, then wipe off. Yep. So this is again how you're gonna add on your watercolor. Now you can do this with just regular watercolors if you would like, but the great thing about using the surface inks or the surface sprays or inks is that it is going to be completely permanent once it's dry. So if you want to go back and you want to add more items to this, so do you get on live every day? I'm starting, Jessica. I'm starting. That's what I'm gonna try to do. I'm gonna try to do that until I keel over from exhaustion of being live every day. But that's my new goal. if this was watercolor paint, would it wipe off the embossed lines line? Yes. See, the thing is, this is so the embossed lines. You can't really, like the embossed lines here. It's not really sticking to the embossed lines, as you can see. Hopefully, you can see that those embossed lines are really popping through. Can you see that? So the embossed lines are staying. That's what the white areas are. But if you use watercolor paint, actually, let me show you what the difference would be. There's not going to be a huge difference. It's just the watercolor paint is not going to have the same effect, if that makes sense. Wednesday at 8 p.m. starts. I'm not sure what your question is. Oh, we have lots of things in store for Christmas in July. Lots of things in store for Christmas in July. Yeah, they resist the color. So this one still resists the color, but with normal watercoloring, it's not going to be as pigmented, if that makes sense. So let me grab. Hold on, I have to walk across the room. Let me grab a green. So this gives it more of a luminescent kind of shiny look to it. I used the icicle embossing powder. I used this one, and I did emboss clear. Yep, and I'm using the surface sprays to paint. Oh, it'll be at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. But the project sheet should go out. The project sheet should go out, I'd say probably around noon Eastern Standard Time. But the project sheet is actually going to be also going to be a kit. So we'll do a kit every Wednesday. A kit every Wednesday so that you guys can have everything I use. So there you can see, but the thing that's cool about the surface inks is they are kind of shiny, or the surface sprays. Do you see how shiny that is? So it still stays kind of shiny, which will not happen with regular watercolor. So I'm going to take now some of an Arteza Real Brush pen, and I'm going to show you what the difference will be. So I'm just going to add in some of this color, and you see how that's kind of beating up? You see how that's beating up? So when I take this and I add in some water, you're going to see there's a big difference. And I'm just going to kind of zhuzh this around so that it goes into the different areas. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So this is normal watercolor, and this is a pretty deep, actually a really deep, really deep green. So I'm just going to continue adding this around the rose here. I've been trying. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I like the way it looks whenever it starts to dry. So as you can see, I'm adding in. So this is not the surface. Whoops. That's okay. See how, oh my goodness. Do you see how cool that was? Do you see how cool that was? Since the surface ink is permanent, or the surface spray is permanent, but the watercolor is not, I was able to just brush that off really quickly. Isn't that cool? There's no mica. Nope, there is no mica in the surface sprays. So now what I'll do is, since this is pretty much dry, is I can go ahead and I can just rub this down. And I kind of like that we did it this way, because that gives us a little, look, I can just wipe that right off. That is fantastic. Kind of gives us a lighter hue to the background, and really makes the surface spray stand out. So there we go. So do you see how, and I can go around and do down here too. I think that'll be nice. And I think this is a really cool technique, because again, we're just, oh, let me get rid of that. We're just adding water. And since this Arteza is like a dual pigment, I would say. Now, I don't know that for a fact. I'd have to talk to our friends at Arteza, but I believe it's a dual pigment, so you can see how there's different colors. It's got a lot more blue in it than it does green, so this is would be a blue green. But as I'm wiping it off, and this is a really, really fun and really, really easy technique, I would go in here and add a little bit more water so that it kind of blends itself out a little bit. Luckily, the Artezas reactivate really, really well, but automatic splotches and stuff does that not happen when using it to watercolor with. The automatic splotches, no, that will not. Well, it's yes and no. I'm using watercolor paper, so watercolor paper naturally is not going to. Watercolor paper is naturally not going to allow for the real super duper splotchiness. Because it's a porous surface. Watercolor paper is very, very porous. And the reason that watercolor paper is very, very porous is so that it can absorb a ton of the water. I did a pink below, and then I added in some of the, and I'm just gonna add in a little bit more green so I can finish this off here because I wanna put this on a card base. And it doesn't matter that I know that you guys are probably saying there's, you know, another rose on this set. I'm kind of doing this kind of abstractly, I guess you would say, so that even though there's a rose in the background, I want all the green to happen. So the tags. That paper is our surface paper. So it's a special kind of paper. It's the same thing that one side of our Not Your Mama cardstock is made from. So it's a special kind of paper that we will have available actually in our fall winter catalog. You'll be able to get that. You'll be able to get full sheets of that. So now what you'll see that I did here is I made it a little darker here. Oh, surface spray. Yep. So I'm making it darker at the top and lighter at the bottom. And now what's cool is since this is a dual tone, you'll notice that, and let me add a little bit more water here. Since this is a dual tone, you'll notice that it's, you know, where I'm adding a little bit more water, it is almost turning to like a lighter blue color. A lighter blue color. And again, this is just a different way that you can use your supplies. It's just a different way you can use your supplies. Now, this might look a whole bunch of crazy, but that's because it's not completely dry yet. So let me go ahead and hit this with the heat tool real quick. I like it when it naturally dries, but because we're live, I want to hit it with the heat tool. You can, I mean, it's not going to hurt anything when you hit it with the heat tool. It just dries just ever so differently when you're not using a heat tool. And obviously it's upside down, right? Let's use this one on the clean side, and I would just blot it, just like so. Now blot it again, and then up here at the top, find yourself a clean spot. You can just kind of rub around. For me, it's much more of an art form than it is so much of, you know, paper piecing and things like that. I enjoy the art of it, like smudging and moving and recreating. And oh, these are the Arteza real brush pens. Another, yes, I'm actually going to add a little bit of an iridescent touch, which I'm excited to tell you guys about because I don't think I've told you guys that you can do this yet. But I'm going to show you in a second. So the Arteza markers, just so you guys know, I am going to soon have an Amazon page where I can list all of the tools that I use that aren't Brutus Monroe, so you guys can go grab them. So it makes it easier. I think everyone is having buffering issues ever so often. I didn't know anybody was having buffering issues. I did not realize that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our powdered elements, which you guys all went kind of cuckoo on the other day, which I so appreciate. Thank you all so much for grabbing those. So you can see now, now normally when I would cut this out around here, but if I was giving this to someone kind of as a gift, I would probably leave it like this and just give it to them with the rose kind of, you know, the movement. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely, Fatima. So now I'm gonna take some of the powdered elements, and you guys may not know that you can do this because I don't think I told you guys yet. I'm just gonna place a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of it out on an acrylic block. Tiny little bit out on an acrylic block. So I'm hoping you can see that there. And I don't know if I showed you guys this yet, but you can paint with powdered elements. So do you see what I'm doing here? I'm just mixing it together with the water. I don't think I've told you guys this yet. So I'm just gonna go in and add a little bit of shimmer to the petals and just kind of try to follow. Well, this is our own link of Stella. This is our own link of Stella. This is but this is, you can kind of make your own link of Stella. Oh, all I'm doing is painting. Sorry. Yeah, all I'm doing is painting. So I'm just adding in a little bit. But the great part is, since this is the surface sprays, they're not going to reconstitute. So all of that hard work, like see right here, if I was using a regular everyday watercolor, see how much I'm, moving the color over top of there, that would all go away. That would all go away. You can just use this to really make your own Mica Stella if you'd like, but I can't say that name. You can use this to make your own Stink of Wella if you'd like. You can just put it in your water brush if you'd like. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just add a little bit more, and again, just zhuzh it up. Just zhuzh it in there a little bit. Do it however you would like. The shimmer powder is called, this is our powdered elements. The powdered elements. I'm not sure how many powdered elements are left because you guys kind of bought us out of House and Home last week whenever I talked about the powdered elements, but there should be some. Yes, they're called powdered elements. So if anybody's looking for the powdered elements, which is what I'm using to create this beautiful shimmer, and I'll show you the shimmer just in a second. Yeah, as you go, and that's the thing. I mean, for card making for me is very, very much the element of how do I explain this? I like the element of layering and adding more, and then once I add more, then it's it's kind of like I add more, and then I know once I'm experimenting that it's something like, oh, well, Christopher, you went too far. You went too far. So, that will happen, and, I like to experiment and see how the things work. Yes, I just posted the link, so if you guys want them, I think there might be only like 3 or 4 left until we get restocked. It's a mixture. I'm glad you asked that. So it's a mica pigment powder. So it creates really, really cool, really, really different effects. So let me show you now. Now you guys are going to see it as soon as I lift it up. How bright that shimmer is. And again, this is not going to do it justice, but there is so much shimmer now. So much shimmer now on that rose. It is non-embossing powder. No, non-embossing powder. You don't have to heat it. But the real cool thing, my thing that's my favorite, is if you would do this on like a black paper. So let me show you this, and then I'll let you guys go. If you do this on a black paper. Oh, yes, Kijo, what is your question? I'm using just a little bit of this is, and again, use just a tiny little bit. Oh, that was way too much, but that's okay. Let me zoom out. Okay, so I just used a tiny little bit, and by a tiny little bit, I used way too much. You can use it in a laminating machine if you want. You don't have to. But you can. Now, you guys, if this doesn't make you guys want the powdered elements, I don't know what else I can do. Because when you see it on this paper, I have a feeling anybody that doesn't have the powdered elements is going to want to. Okay. Yes. Oh, Kijo, it's not normal transfer foil. It's not transfer foil. It is foil to be used, it is foil to be used, like with die cutting or with, like to be used with die cutting, or you can use it with, like an embossing folder. I'm so sorry. I should have told you that before. I think it's a it should be used like as a it's not a transfer. It's not a transfer. Okay, so can you guys see? Now I'm going to show you. Look at how shiny that is. And again, I don't know that the lighting is going to do it justice, but that's on black. But what I like to do is if I have a card and I want to add a little bit of speckle to it, I'll do I call this the Christina Warner technique, and I will just splatter. And this always does perfect splatters every time. I learned this from her. And actually, Christina Warner is who got me started into card making many, many moons ago, because I was watching her very, very late at night. And you always say it's opposed to the creamy side. If you just go to the Brutus and Rowe Facebook page, if you just type in Brutus and Rowe on Facebook, that's where you can post it. That's where you can post it. But anyway, I'll tell you guys a quick story about Christina Warner. So one night, I was up late watching YouTube, as I do. As I do, and as I still do. And I was watching YouTube, and it was right before, I think it was like right before, I want to say it was right before Rob's birthday, or something was going on, or Rob was graduating, or something. I don't know what was going on. But regardless, it was, something was happening, and I wanted to make a card. And I had seen people do card making before, but I was like, you know, I was really into the Cricut, and I did a lot of stuff for Cricut, and I was like, I've got to figure out, you know, what my niche is really going to be. Because although I enjoyed the Cricut, it wasn't like, I knew there was more. So, and yeah, look at this splatter. So I went to YouTube and searched card making, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm watching a video by Christina Warner, and I don't even know what stamp she was using. I have no idea what. She was making a beautiful card, as she does. And I was watching it, and all I remember was seeing it and being instantly inspired to start making cards. So I was like, I love this, you know, this thing of card making. Now I have to go and get supplies. So, of course, I ran out to Walmart, because that was the only place that was open at 2 o'clock in the morning, now at the point that I was done with the video. And I bought supplies, and I came home, and I started card making. And those supplies were horrible. I'm not going to tell you what the manufacturer of the supplies were, but most of you guys know that, you know, the only stamps that would be carried at Walmart, and the only inks that would be carried at Walmart, they're not a name brand or anything. I think they were like the Walmart brand. But it was horrible. I made the card, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is awful. Like, this is, my goodness, what am I doing? So I decided to, that night I said, I have to figure out how I can make products, and how I can make products, you know, that, because at that point I only thought there was like 2 people making stamp products. I had no idea. I mean, I literally didn't even know the industry. I mean, I was calling literally, you know, from what would be the equivalent of door to door to try to figure out who would make our inks, who made stamps. I mean, I dove in head first, and, you know, found our suppliers and so on and so forth, and was so excited because I couldn't wait to start in this industry. And if it wasn't for Jennifer McGuire, well, Jennifer McGuire too, but if it wasn't for Christina Warner and that trip to Walmart, it was actually only 3 years ago, Trudy. It was only 3 years ago. I started the Brutus Monroe, the company, 3 years ago. We'll be 4 years old in December. 4 years in December. So, all right, so that is what the powdered elements can do with water. I'm going to turn this into a card, this really fun rose here, and I'll show you. My background, actually, I have two parts of my background I think that equate to what I do. I have I went to school for art. I went to school for graphic design and Chrissy baby, a graphic design with a visual communications. But I worked for a long time in marketing. So I worked in marketing for, oh, well, happy birthday. I worked in marketing for, oh my word, for probably 6 or 7 years. I worked in marketing, and it was like my first real job out of college was working in marketing and marketing and sales. So I always knew that I wanted to create something, if that makes sense. So it was, marketing was great, and the sales part of it was great, but the problem with that was it was something that I just didn't, I didn't, oh, thank you, Sandpaper Road. It was just something that I was never fulfilled me, if that makes sense. I was never fulfilled, working at, thank you, Kijo, working on someone else's dream, if that makes sense. Working on, improving upon something else that someone was doing. It was, marketing for me in those positions was always kind of fixing things, for the company. And it was something that I, it was just never satisfying. So I actually started Brutus Monroe, to tell you, a brief little bit about the story. I started Brutus Monroe as an e-commerce company, and I worked on it while I was still working at one of my marketing jobs, and I literally would work overnight. Like, I would go to work at my marketing job at like around 8 a.m., work until like 5. Then I would come home, work feverishly on the website, work feverishly on, getting Brutus Monroe ready to go. And we launched in December of, I think it was 2015, I believe 2015. And yeah, 3 years. So 2015, we had one stamp on the website, and I was a nervous wreck. I'll never forget, it was $286.43 was what I spent on the first run of stamps. I didn't sleep for a week as I was preparing the website, and I was just a nervous wreck. And luckily, we sold through that first run very quickly. Then I started developing the inks and other things like that. And while I was doing that, I said, oh my goodness, I need to quit my marketing job. But what job can I do that will teach me everything that I need to know about the other side of the industry? Because I had studied e-commerce forever. I mean, it's what I did for my regular job. I studied everything about e-commerce. So many of you guys don't know this, but I actually quit my big boy job in marketing and went and worked at Joann Fabrics in the back stock room for $8.32 an hour. And I worked there for almost a year, about a year. And I literally was, I said, I'm going to work here, and I am going to, make sure that, I figure out everything I possibly can about the retail side. No, I'm not married, Trudy. No. I am not married, no. But very happy, but not married. So I worked at Joann Fabrics, and I worked there for about a year and worked in the back stock room. I figured out how to unload the trucks. I figured out, really I wanted to know how everything worked. How does behind the scenes work? Because I was always someone in front of the shelves. I was constantly, in front of the shelves buying things. I want to know what happened behind the shelves. So, wanted to figure out, what happened behind the shelves. So I worked behind the scenes at Joann Fabrics, and then Brutus Monroe started to blossom and turned into more of a company than I imagined. So I said, okay, I'm going to leave Joann Fabrics, and I am going to begin, my journey of continuing with Brutus Monroe. So fast forward to today, you can actually buy the Brutus Monroe products at Joann.com. So that's something that's incredibly exciting to me. Something that is nuts because I worked as a stock boy, um, at Joann Fabrics for months, and now you can buy my products at JoannFabrics.com. So it's full circle. It's definitely a full circle moment. It's kind of crazy because I never thought that because literally when I was working in the back of that stock room and I was lifting boxes and trying to figure out how I was going to how I was going to get to the next level of what I wanted to do with Brutus Monroe, I was like, how do I what do I do, like how do I how do I get how do I figure this out, how does this work? So I, I'm super excited that now you can get our products online, and I believe actually our Mandela dies. I believe our Mandela dies since they became since they were. I think they're sold out on their website. I'm looking now because I was going to say if any of you guys want the Mandela dies. Nope, it looks like they are sold out on their website. So, sorry, I was going to direct you over there. Yes, I will always tell my story. And I guess now is a good time to announce to you guys, next fall, I've been writing something. I've been working on something for 3 years, and I'm hoping that next fall it will all come to fruition. I've been working very hard on it, but it's I've been writing a book, and the book is called How to Tie a Tie and Other Things My Mother Taught Me, and the book has lots of stories of my journey with Brutus Monroe. Lots of stories of how how I came to be. Because, like I said, I have really just have dreamed my whole life, and that's it. That's it's how to tie a tie and other things my mother taught me. Because I grew up with a single mom, an incredibly, I mean, just exuded everything that I wanted to be, which was my mom. And she actually worked with me on Saturday. So when I started writing How to Tie a Tie and Other Things My Mother Taught Me, she she taught me how to how to be the most incredible version of yourself. And she was that. I mean, she no matter how hard her day was, no matter how hard things were, she always made sure that she was putting forth the best version of herself. And that's what I try to do for you guys. So that's why no, I did not grow up with the father treaty. Nope, I did not. My father left my family when I was I think when I was like 6 or 7. But yeah, he left, and I was raised by my single mother, and my sister was raised by my single mother, and we were all there. It was so funny. We were sitting. Oh, you don't have to be. You don't have to be. You don't have to be sorry. I'm not. I'm not. So yeah, so my mom, and it was so funny because we were all sitting at the store on Saturday, and we were working together, and we were, it was so funny that we were sitting, at the store, and I just like looked at my mom and my sister, and I was like, my goodness, like, how crazy is this? We're sitting in the Brutus Monroe store, which I didn't even think Brutus Monroe was going to going to be much more than a logo, much more of that than it is, a store and things like that. So, when How to Tie a Tie and Other Things My Mother Taught Me comes out, I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope that you guys will like it. I think it's funny. It's there's a lot of funny things in it. There's also a there's also, you know, there's laughing, there's crying, there's all sorts of different stuff. So yeah, it's yeah, she so I give my mom a Father's Day card every single year. Every single year I do. I give her one every single year. Um, and you know, she's incredible. And I just finished a chapter a couple of weeks ago, and it's called Light Bulb. And it's actually really, really funny. And I'll tell you a brief little excerpt from it before I let you guys go. But when I was little, my mom used to take me to this store. It was a frame shop. It was called Padco's Framing. I believe it's still there. But it was a frame shop, and it was in the West End of Pittsburgh. And I used to love going with her because this store had all sorts of really, really cool and really fun creative things. So it was a little boy that had a creative imagination's dream. So we would go to this store, and there were paints, and there were brushes, and there were different types of paper, and all sorts of really extraordinary, really cool things. And I could not wait to go to this store. And I remember seeing the owner, and I would walk in, and I would be so incredibly enthralled and so incredibly impressed with all of these amazing goodies that the owner had in his store. But there was one thing that would always catch my eye, and it was something that was so incredibly familiar to so many people, and something that would be so silly to most. But he had so many lights in his shop, and he had all these light bulbs. Like, he had different types of lights, and not light bulbs for sale, but lights that were lit up in the store. So he had beautiful light fixtures in the window, and he had beautiful light fixtures in the back. And he must have had 50 or 65 light bulbs, different types of lights in the store. And I remember thinking to myself, my goodness, this man must be so successful. He must be so incredibly successful, because look at all these light bulbs. Because to a young boy or a young child at all, light bulbs are expensive. You think, oh my goodness, light bulbs are sensationally expensive. How does this man have all of these light bulbs? I mean, it's incredible that this man must be doing so well with all of these light bulbs. So I can remember thinking to myself that this man must be vastly successful, because he has all of these light bulbs in his house, or in his store, excuse me. And as I was little, I was like, my goodness, this man, that's incredible, this man with all these light bulbs. And I can remember going into the store. Every time I would go in, I would count the light bulbs, and I was never ever able to count all of the light bulbs. I couldn't. There were too many light bulbs, but I would always try, and I would always stop at like 22 or 23. And when I saw the light bulbs, every time I would go back, I'd say, this is just incredible. So about 2 weeks ago, when I was getting ready to write more in the book and write this chapter called Light Bulb, I was looking around in my store, and I had a moment, and I all of a sudden had a flashback. And I had a flashback of the store as I was in my own store, and I looked around, and I started counting the light bulbs. And as I was counting the light bulbs, I was looking at all the different light bulbs in the store, and I started counting them, and I stopped counting them. And that day, when I was getting ready to leave the store, I didn't turn off all the lights. I left a lot of the light bulbs left the light bulbs on in the window, left the light bulbs up around the posts on, and I turned out, the big lights, but left a lot of the cool light bulbs on. And as I was turning the key to the door, I thought to myself, I really, really hope that there's a little boy that walks past my store today and starts counting the light bulbs. So that's an excerpt from the book. That's there's more to that chapter. There's more to that story, but that's probably one of my favorite chapters in the book because that's a chapter that is towards the end of the book. But like I said, I will never turn off all of the lights in my store now, because I hope and pray that there will be a little boy or a little girl that will walk past my store someday and count the light bulbs. So that was a huge thing for me. Was I said to myself, my goodness, this man has so many light bulbs. And about 2 weeks ago, I sat there and started counting my light bulbs. And I, was so incredibly inspired by this man when I was younger, who may not even still be with us, but I hope he is, because I would love to give him, a copy of the book, because he, inspired things. But yeah, so I started counting the light bulbs in my store, and when I counted the light bulbs, I took a moment and paused, and I said, I'm not closing turning off all these darn lights. What if somebody else wants to be able to count the light bulbs in the store? So I never turn out the lights now. I never turn out the light bulbs. Counting the light bulbs may actually be the chapter. I'm not sure. It's, once I start working with my editor, we'll figure out what those are called. But I'm really excited because my mom is actually writing the foreword for the book. So I think that it's going to be. I have not been back to the store, Mary. I actually just was talking to my mom about it the other day, and she's not sure that it's still open. But I want to go one day now as an adult, because I can go, to the store anytime. But I try to tell that story about the light bulbs as often as I can, and I'm so excited that it's going to be in the book, because that's something that, is truly was so inspiring to me when I was little. I was like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. And it's such a silly thing, and as kids, we're silly, and we count silly things, and that was something. Yes, my mom is writing the foreword for the book. So, and I said that without getting weepy, and I don't know how, because I know the moment that the book is out, it's going to be exciting. So yes, it's called How to Tie a Tie and Other Things My Mother Taught Me. And it's all about things, growing up with my mom, and all the cool, amazing things that she taught me in my life, and also really what it has been to go from a little boy with a dream to grow up to a businessman, and everything that happens in between. And I don't believe there's stories out there like that. It's at least stories that are published out there like that. It's, so many stories are, this is how it happened, and, this is how, this is success, and yada, yada, yada. But it's not, I was a little boy that had dreams, and, now I'm a man that had to figure out how those dreams would work, and how I would make that happen. So stay tuned for How to Tie a Tie. It will be out probably in about a year. I call it How to Tie a Tie for short, but it is truly How to Tie a Tie and Other Things My Mother Taught Me. I can't wait to share my book with you guys, because I think that you guys are really going to love it. And I hope that you guys really love it, because I worked really hard on it. But yeah, so that is the card for tonight. Thank you all so much for your purchases during this live. As always, thank you for allowing me to share my story with you. I really, really appreciate. Hello, Diane. I really, really appreciate you letting me chat with you and share an excerpt from my book that I believe, Kim, is actually going to be now called Counting Light Bulbs. But if you did not see, I love you guys too. If you did not see or did not hear the story, you can go back and listen. Oh, perfect, Belinda. That's what I was just saying. Because it's one of my favorite stories from the book, and I'm so excited that you guys are part of this journey with me, Kim, and I can't wait to share what's coming in the future. I have so many great things and fun things planned, and I appreciate each and every one of you more than you will ever know. Thank you so much for being a part of my life. Please always create your own ending. Goodbye, my friends.